it's truth telling what you're doing. Like, for instance, this image of Stephen Miller, it's Stephen Miller that is created with a bunch of little swastikas. This is truth telling. Although we've never faced a moment in American history like the current one, it is times like this where art, oddly enough, sometimes is very important, whether that be movies that convey a message that animate people's activism, or music, or in the case of today's guest, Jesse Duquette, political cartoons and art. Jesse, it's nice to have another Jesse on the show. Welcome.
That's right. Nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
So being someone, me, who is completely, absolutely bereft of artistic ability, just it's the way it is, I admire folks like you who are, I think, born with something and then you use practice and repetition to hone that skill. When did you find out that you had the ability and the interest and then combine those two things into what you do now?
Well, I've had I would say, obsessive interest in drawing from the time it sounds maybe trite to say or cliched, but since I could hold a pen quite literally, I'm an only child. So, that's how I spent a lot of my time, was just kind of obsessively drawing, over and over again from a very, very young age. So, it's the thing I've always liked doing above all else. It's the one thing that I, would probably choose to do above anything. So it was just something that's always been there as like a pastime, a hobby, which, it still is, but certainly over time, and especially in these times, it's become more of a therapeutic endeavor, I would say.
So I want to kind of share, I talk a lot about this particular thing on my show a lot, that there are different styles. There are different political commentators out there who are certainly different than me, more low key, more, I don't want to be pejorative about it, but more milquetoast. I am more bombastic. It's just who I am. It's not this isn't a character I'm playing on the fucking YouTube. This is it. This is who you get. So your style is more aggressive. It's more attuned to, I think, what my style is and maybe even what my audience would like. I want to show a couple of examples very quickly. For instance, this one is doing all of the heavy lifting that you hope political cartoons will do. Sometimes subtlety doesn't get the job done, and I appreciate your particular style. Are you getting pushback? I know that you are being shadow banned by Instagram. Are there other platforms out there that don't find the artistic credibility that I find in your art?
Well, I'm only on Instagram, Threads, for social media, Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky. Instagram and Threads are the ones that are the most difficult with this. Blue Sky hadn't been a problem until fairly recently, where they took some drawings down and then reinstated them right away. So that was a little different. But Instagram's been, almost as long as I've had an account, it's been a problem. It's been an issue there for sure.
I mean, look, it's truth telling what you're doing. Like, for instance, this image of Stephen Miller it's Stephen Miller that is created with a bunch of little swastikas. This is truth telling. This is a metaphor. Obviously, sometimes people need it smashed over their head. Maybe I'm your audience because I need it explained. I mean, this is, for me, there's a beauty in the horror of what you are depicting. What is it you kind of hope people take away from, maybe not this specific image, but your creations in general?
I mean, if I'm being honest, I don't really take into consideration what a response will be. This is very much like a nightmare diary. It's kind of whatever I do. I will say, you use the word milquetoast, which I think is very apt, because that's the way I would describe most, I think, political discourse in a mainstream way, and especially political cartooning. And so I wouldn't say have consciously tried to do this. I think it's just by virtue of how I go about it. I try to do the counterpoint to that. I think playing it in a safe way makes zero sense, especially now. So I try to be as sort of blunt and raw about whatever I'm drawing about as possible, because I think that that's what is required right now. So if nothing else, I hope that, if people are, either they like it, great. If they don't like it, I hope they can consider maybe why they don't like it.
Yeah.
I'm never punching down, I'm never taking the piss out of someone who doesn't deserve it. So I think, if there's something about it that gets in someone's crosshairs, I think that's probably cause for a little bit of self-reflection.
Yeah, I like, it's interesting. I pulled 5 or 6 images that really resonated with me, just of your recent drawings. This is one I really like, that really touches on what you just said about, in this moment, we don't need milquetoast. We don't need people who are here to compromise with the Nazis, to compromise with the masked secret police in the street who are here to kidnap our community members. And it sounds like you are using your talent rather than for, you're not Thomas fucking Kincaid, the master of light or whatever. You're actually doing activism here. What's been some of the reactions of your friends, your family, the people in your life, or even detractors online? Are you getting shit for what you're doing?
Oh yeah, for sure. I will say, thankfully, the encouraging and sort of supportive comments and people out there outweigh the nasty jerks and all that. It is ironic, though, that drawing you just showed, it's drawings like that almost get me the most blowback, and it's usually from the left or from Democrats. Some of the highest volume of hateful DMs I've received have been typically when I've drawn this, or a drawing I did of Andrew Cuomo a few years ago, because, I think people aren't used to taking fire from maybe what they've seen as one of their own.
Sure.
But I think I don't care what your political party label is. If you're sexually harassing your interns, I'm going to say something about it,
Yeah, sure.
And similarly, if you are the supposed, elected leaders of a Democratic Party, or of a political party, and your response to fascism is writing strongly worded letters, I'm going to draw about that as well.
Yeah. You are, not only do we share the same first name, we share the same initials too. So I'm a little bit out of shape about that you're stealing the JD thunder here. But you're speaking my language, because I also talk about often that we need to jettison any adherence to this team nature of politics. Andrew Cuomo, bad guy, did a bad job as governor, has no business being the mayor of New York, especially when there's an exemplary candidate on the ballot like Zoran Mamdani. So I like your Andrew Cuomo with the Trump makeup. I don't remember what the caption was, and it wasn't one of the ones I grabbed, but
when you're a star, they let you do it.
Yeah, that's right. When you're a star, they let you do it. This is what we need from people, from Americans, to go out there and combat bad on both sides. Because when we have literal fascism in the streets, I'll throw up another one here of your Join ICE poster here. I'm not going to go through and explain why the art resonates with me, but in moments like this, and this depicts exactly what's happening. I live in Washington, D.C. I'm witnessing this on a daily basis. They did a checkpoint near my neighborhood last night, and it's terrifying for a lot of people. So I think that your work, your art, your talent serves to animate people into action, into an uprising, into, at the very least, attending a protest. And it speaks to that thing in the back of our minds that maybe we don't recognize. And I hope that it'll initiate in people will that be an ancillary benefit, or are you really just doing this as a therapy, cathartic kind of a thing for yourself?
The act of doing it is very much that. I try to disassociate from any presumed or expected response, but a motivating factor to keep doing it is certainly, I think, broadly speaking, what the response has been. People who have said that the drawings, have either motivated them to become more politically engaged, or you feel less alone. They're in some red state, deeply red state, and they feel very isolated. So I think, I get asked the question often, does making art matter? Like, what's art's place right now? And, I think the sort of kumbaya answer is like, art's going to save us. And I don't believe that, but I do think that it has a very important and impactful place to engender a sort of sense of community and togetherness that I think is a necessity if people are serious about fighting fascism, which hopefully people are at this point. I think art does have an ability to sort of cross boundaries and to like coalesce ideas and thought. And I don't presume to occupy that space, but I do think that's something that would any artist that's sort of trafficking and documenting current events would hopefully aspire to something like that.
Well, don't sell yourself short. I think that you're making a larger impact on people's activism than you probably think. I mean, you're doing something right when big tech is trying to shut you down. And actually, on that note, because look, I face this, people in my particular genre and space on YouTube face this all the time as well. Where can people who are interested in supporting your work, where can they find you? You're on Instagram. We'll have links to all that in the description. But where can people actually, plunk down a couple bucks a month and support your work in your, in a moment like this? It's brave to do what you're doing. And I think people need to be rewarded for their bravery and their hard work, your labor. Where can people find you?
Other than the social media platforms, I have a Substack. So it's Jesse Duquette. If you just Google that and Substack, you'll find it. And basically, you can have a free subscription. You can pay by the month. You can have an annual subscription. You can kind of pay what you want, essentially. And I'll post all my drawings there. And it started as a way to have some avenue to put stuff out that I didn't have to worry about, social media, the algorithm taking stuff down, suppressing it. So I needed to kind of catalog it. And then I'll put stuff there that, I've done posts where I'll put together all the bunch of the drawings that have been taken down that I couldn't put back up. So they have at least a place to live online. But Substack would be the main mode outside of social media.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, look, we keep talking about this moment, in this time that we're in, this is unprecedented and we've never seen anything like this. And we may lose our country, our very democracy, our culture, our society over what's taking place right now. And going back to Democrats not meeting the moment, largely that's the case. There are pockets of people in power who are doing the right thing and saying the right thing and animating people to do the right thing. But I've even had, I hate to keep bringing it, it's Team JD here, so I'll tell some JD stories. I recently had a politician, a household name who's definitely going to be running for president this next time, cancel he invited me to interview him and then canceled when he saw a tweet that I tweeted the day that Donald Trump, that a bullet went near his ear. It didn't strike his ear. But I said, look, if you traffic and you incite and you encourage violence in politics, eventually it's going to come back and you're going to reap what you sow. And that was too much for this particular prominent Democrat. And I want to leave on the note that we are apparently, we are long lost brothers with the same initials and first names, because I have been talking about the imminent death of Donald Trump over the course of this term, that I don't think he's long for this world. You can't have Big Mac sauce coursing through your veins as your life force and make it too much longer. So I like seeing things like this. I appreciate your sensibilities, your sense of humor, and I think other people do too. Are you finding that people are excited or like, oh, finally somebody's saying the thing that's rattling around in my brain?
I think that that's probably what has attracted people to the drawings and to the account is, not to put too much of an emphasis on it, but I just because of the way I go about it, what I find funny, if that's the right word, I kind of go for the jugular. And so, for example, I think people are hungry for that. I think people want to feel validated in that feeling because those feelings are valid. Like if we're serious about Trump being a fascist and his movement being fascism, which it is, but if we're serious about that, then let's approach it with what it deserves, which is nothing but derision. And I mean, I hate to have this emotion, but with hate, I mean, that's what else, you can't,
it's a word I use associated with Donald Trump. So you're not stepping on any toes here.
I mean, people take up that drawing with the dog. Even people have gotten upset about, how could, the guy has kids. And it's like, great, them too. I don't, it's the fascism thing is not hyperbole for me. It's an accurate description and a diagnosis. And I think, there shouldn't be any messing around with that. I think people need to be emphatic about it. And it's unfortunate to hear about the unnamed politician because I think that's, I think you can see now, maybe that person feels differently today. Who knows? Because I do think you see the way certain Democrats in office are beginning to treat Trump sort of by giving him a taste of his own medicine in a way, or at least just being more forceful. Here in Chicago, Pritzker, I mean, I think he's a good example of someone who's at least, I think approaching him with the level of respect that he deserves, which is negative.
Yeah. I talked about, I'm no fan of electing billionaires to the highest offices in the land.
Right.
But look, I'm not gonna poo-poo the efforts of someone who is actually using his privilege and the umbrella of safety that his money provides him. I'm not gonna shit on him for actually tackling the fascism that is not at our front door, but it's the call's coming from inside the house, Jesse D.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So I'm here for J.B. Pritzker. I'm here for the Nazi associating of Gavin Newsom, chuckling it up with Steve Bannon and Charlie Kirk. In the absence of actual leadership, I'm here for it. And in the absence of actual leadership, I just segued myself into ending our conversation. In the absence of I'm here for your work too, because we need regular people who have whatever talents, whatever ability to get out there and create activism in their life, even if it's something as mundane and seemingly anodyne as talking to people that you know at work, or your family, or your friends, or your acquaintances, or the person you sit next to at the bus stop. That kind of activism is activism. It doesn't. You don't have to have a YouTube channel. You don't have to have some amazing artistic ability. Get out there and do what you can do in this moment, because it's going to take all the 1,000 points of light coming together: art, music, movies, protests in the street, action on the part of our elected members to defeat what is facing us right now. So, thanks for your work, man. And it's great.
Oh, thank you so much. That's very kind of you. Thanks.